Hi, I'm Kathy Mills from Short Film Edits, and I'm here with Gabe Armentano for an interview today. How are you?
I'm good, Kathy. How you doing today?
I'm good, thank you. Could you
Amazing.
we can start this with you telling us a little bit about you?
Yeah, for sure. Let's think a little bit about me. I am living in Los Angeles, West Coast in the US. I am an actor who also is dabbling in writing, producing, songwriting. One day. One day I may even, tip my toes in directing and whatnot. But I've been pushing the acting rock for about 15 years now. And whenever people ask me about like all my other interests, I just tell them I'm an actor by trade. It's what I learned in school. It's what I've learned in studios. It's where my training is. But my heart has other interests as well. So
Yeah. Well, you've got to
yeah.
expand that at all times anyway. And it's a revolving change. It always changes. So,
Yeah, it's true. It's so true. And it kind of turns into like a little bit of a swamp if you let the water sit in the same place for too long. You got to find
mm,
ways to keep it flowing. So, yeah.
yeah, absolutely. Okay. So what drew you to the vertical space?
I always tell people I don't think I was drawn to the vertical space. I think I was like sucked by an act of fate, call it God, call it what you will in your life, and I was very much avoiding it. I was so much avoiding it. It was as an actor, when we're looking at job listings, there's different websites that we have portfolios and we submit to. And once in a while you'll get an audition from somebody privately reaching out. And as you get more well known in a lot of spaces, either you're hearing from your reps or you're hearing personally. And so right now, thankfully, I've got people who personally reach out. But when I started out, you had to go to the job listings. And every time I saw a vertical job listing with a CEO, werewolf, billionaire, and all these crazy businesses about like slaps and what seemed like unnecessary romantic encounters and lots of just like crazy banana plot lines. I was like, I don't want to be a part of this. And so I was very much running away until I was working on a modeling gig. Unbeknownst to me, I thought it was hand modeling, and it turned out it was more like let's hang out and like do a backyard barbecue, and you're gonna see our faces, and we're pushing a product, but it's like lifestyle photography. And one of my co-stars on that, another model actor, she was also casting. And so she was like, Gabe, you should audition for this. And I was like, no, audition for that. And she's like, Gabe, you gotta it pays, just do it. And so I did an audition. They were interested in me, and that was my first vertical drama. That was oh, what was it? It was my accidental Alpha's Desire with Nicole Maddox. I played opposite of her as the villain. And it was so much fun. It was great. It was I stepped on set and I immediately realized, oh, I get it. Like this isn't just some like silly, specific soap opera on the phone genre that like I should perform or not perform in. This is my training wheels. This is my chance to step on set and meet people and practice my craft and pay the bills. And I haven't turned back since. That was June of 2024.
Mm. We were all glad that you took that chance.
Thank you. Thank you,
Mm.
Kathy.
So, what encouraged you to start writing and producing your own projects?
Okay. Well, I always tell people I'm an actor by trade, based on my training and whatnot. But I think for like there's Gabe the actor, and then there's like Gabe the creator storyteller. And whether it's like just, being at like family events and like explaining how the year's been going, whether it's been like I don't know, having so much fun, even just like reading books or writing songs and like just discovering the like we live our lives in beginning, middle, end cycles all the time. I don't care if you're doing laundry, if you're literally just waking up, lunchtime, going to bed. If you have to get in the car, open the door, start the car, turn off the car, get out after you arrive at your location. Everything has some kind of journey. And I just love the mechanics of that. I like some people, they always ask me, do you like theater more versus film or something? And I've done a lot of theater. I really love theater. And I plan on stepping back on the stage at some point. But right now, in the same way that I'm talking about the mechanics of writing, the mechanics of film just excites me so much. The 12-hour process, typically 12 hours, sometimes a little less or more. What happens when the camera's set in the space, my relationship to the camera, my relationship to my co-stars. And so I think the same thing about writing. And I get so excited when I think about the shift in chords that I'm playing on the piano and how that makes me feel. And therefore, maybe how it makes the listener feel. I get excited about a character's journey. Maybe it's a character that I want to write for myself. I'm working on Vertical right now, Secret. And if I can just convince somebody to produce, if I could convince someone to help me produce it, then maybe we can get it on a platform in the next year. But it's a character that I'm excited to play. And just to keep it simple, he's like we'd call him like a super smart. Pharmacist, I guess. He's a biomedical researcher, and he comes up with pharmaceuticals. And so it's kind of the romance that's involved, but maybe we're pushing verticals in a slightly darker direction as well. I want to perhaps investigate what could happen if verticals, lean into the thriller side. So, long story short, when I write, I get excited about the feelings that it bubbles up inside of me. I get excited about the characters I could play. And I also get excited about like experimenting, in the case of verticals at least,
Yeah.
with the genre.
Yes.
So yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'd like to see more genres as well. I know thriller and horror and stuff are really big, people want them. I want action and sci-fi. I,
Okay, I
yeah.
really think the sci-fi can work. I know
Mm,
AI is a very contentious topic, but where it's super helpful is because the VFX pipelines are so expensive. And we
mm,
all know that typically, my opinion at least, the VFX are used for a lot of the fantasy verticals. They're at best like a 5 out of 10 on the quality scale,
I
and it's
agree.
no one's fault. It's all they can
No.
afford. It's the timelines that these things
Yeah.
like they have to be finished. But the idea that we could eventually introduce maybe some VFX via AI opportunities, it does concern me the implication of like jobs that will or will not be lost. But if we try to also consider the designers that can be a part of that process. Like imagine if you do or do not know, most verticals I would say are made in less than a 6 month pipeline, right?
Yeah.
Really, it could be done in less than 3 months. They do about a month of pre-production, we'll say about a week to 2 weeks of production, and then a month plus of post-production.
Yeah.
And however far back they want to go is in regards to what the studio or the platform wants to do, what scripts are available, fine. But you can condense that. But all along the process, you got the director, you've got the director of photography, you have the production supervisor, and maybe the post-production supervisor is a part of this process, but maybe they bring in, rather than jobs being lost by AI, maybe they create jobs for like a designer who's specifically focused on the creation and art style, the design of special effects for like
Mm,
surprise sci-fi verticals. Like it'd be so
mm,
cool to do one
yeah.
inside of the spaceship that we shoot inside of a warehouse. And maybe they're using the LED panels, and it's kind of like the Mandalorian. And I'm totally with you. That would be sick.
Yeah.
That would be sick.
I mean, I'm on the fence about AI myself. I think it has a place, but then it also pushes some things that I don't like. But in what
Mm.
you were saying, I think that could really work.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. As long as it's used correctly.
That's the thing. Yeah, it can't be it. Well, I mean, we have to, and again, we don't have to turn this into a whole like AI discussion, but there's just so many questions right now about the breach of intellectual property, the overuse of like unlicensed, like people's faces and things like that. You know, because there's intellectual property, like everything they upload that doesn't belong to them. But then
Yeah.
moving forward, it's like Gabe's face. You're gonna use my face whenever you want to just make stuff. I don't know. Maybe if I sign off on like marketing it stuff, because for those of you who don't know at home, when we make the posters for all the verticals, we have to shoot those on location. We could technically shoot them elsewhere. I have shot them outside, but more or less, when I am cast, handed the script, walking on set, that oftentimes happens within a 14-day window. And so when we're finally on set and we're working for, we'll say 6 to 10 days, they know that like having actors hired to do photography for the project for the poster costs money. So they're not going to bring us to a studio to shoot it outside of production days for like 30 minutes between lunch and the next setup. They're going to try to shoot photos. And
Yeah.
so it could be a good use if my image is protected, if they're not altering my image. It could be a good use to have like higher quality posters and stuff. Because right now the posters, I think they're interesting, but they're also getting a little bit like stuck in a certain style, you know?
Mm,
So I don't know. I don't
mm.
know.
Yeah, I mean, my main issue is the because I do photo edit. I'm not, yeah, I do the editing. My main thing
Yeah,
is photo editing. So I don't like using AI photos because, for one, it takes that away from the photographer.
fair.
When like posters maybe are different, but like the actual photography, the photographer, I'm all for that. So
I
I don't
I will
like
say I've
using.
spoken with friends of mine who are it's the same but different, photography
Mm,
in motion, the directors of photography, and they're like, that's the problem with these like AI models is they don't understand lighting and lenses and like when it's necessary to use different shaped lenses and at what lengths. And so I totally understand what you're saying. Like there is an absolute craft to photography that cannot
yeah,
be overlooked. And you can't just suddenly outsource it to some computer because it's cheaper. I totally respect that. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, definitely. All right, let's change the AI subject.
Deal,
Um,
deal.
Yeah. How does juggling multiple roles on a project change your approach to storytelling?
So when we say multiple roles, we mean like producing, like wearing different hats and
Yeah,
acting.
yeah.
And how does it change my approach to one more time?
To the storytelling.
Gotcha. Okay. So it really comes down to focus. This is something I've been like wrestling with. If I want to be like honest, mildly vulnerable for a second, I will step on set and I will know that, okay, we've got 8 hours in this location and that's it. As the producer, I'm thinking, we just got to get everything. If sacrifices have to be made for certain takes or certain setups, that's what's got to be. As the writer, I'm thinking, oh my goodness, we only have so much time to get this scene. Am I going to have to cut lines? Can we get it right within the first couple takes? Can I maintain the story? If not, if the producer hat is like, oh, we got to cut stuff, then the writer hat comes on and it's like, okay, well, how are we going to maintain the story? And then all of that is happening on top of the fact that like the camera is rolling and I'm acting across from my partner and I
Mm,
have to silence all of those other voices, all of the other voices. And that's hard for me because even as an actor, I'm silencing the acting voices. Whether it means like, all right, well, I know at this certain angle, my face probably isn't looking as hot in the lighting. Maybe I should just adjust just a little bit here, but now I'm blocking the light of my co-star. What am I doing? And suddenly I have to like I'm taking all these technical things into account in addition to just like who am I? What's my relationship with the person across from me? What is happening beginning, middle, end in this moment? So I would say it really comes down to focus and the way that it affects the storytelling.
Yeah, that must be hard when you're in that moment to try and get, every little detail of, like you said, the lighting with your co-star and with yourself to do that while still acting. Must be a lot to go
Yeah.
through your mind at
Well,
all
here's the
times.
thing. The truth of the matter, the baseline is part of this, we could also call it like a filter.
Mm,
Think like a colander where you put the pasta in, the water comes out, or like when people are sifting. Back in the day, the gold
mm,
rush, and they got sand and soil, and then they have gold, and they have
yeah.
to figure out how to bring the gold out. Part of the issue is like, what am I willing to pay attention to and not pay attention to? So we are just talking about how a lot of it is focus, part of it's control as well. The reality is, Gabe, the actor, needs to trust the other producers. I have to trust the other writers. I have to trust production because I've been on other sets that are not verticals. Verticals are very fast paced and things fall through the cracks. And I take it upon myself as the actor to help polish the dialogue, to help out my fellow production team when we don't have time to perfect the blocking. So I'm gonna block as best as I can in relationship to the camera and where all the lights are. But ideally, control-wise, when I step onto a set, currently, at least in the current state, that's not a vertical, because verticals are their own beasts. But if I step on a set that we'll say is an even higher budget, where we have less pages to do per day, I don't think the director or the producer would like to hear that I'm thinking about all those things. They really like I'm hired to act. And so those other sets where I take those responsibilities on, those thoughts, those concerns, it's because I know everybody's wearing multiple hats and
Yeah.
everybody's looking out for each other rather than being specialized. And so when I walk on bigger budgets, ideally in regards to the focus versus the control, I have to let go of my other hats, those thoughts from the other hats. I have to let go of control and just remember, okay, Gabe, today we're just going to act, which means I don't have to worry about lighting. I don't have to worry about all these other things because in a perfect world, we will have time that they will move the camera. They will adjust the light in relationship to what me, my co-star, and the director have came up with in the moment. So again, as I said, I've been wrestling with this because there are times where I have to wear multiple hats and I have to give myself permission to not judge myself and allow these thoughts to pass through me. But then there's other times where I have to filter it. I have to be like, Gabe, not your job right now. Let it go, which
It
is
must be
so.
challenging to do that though. Sometimes it
Oh
must be
yeah.
really, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I get
You'll be
so
like,
upset because
oh, I wish I could do it that way. I wish I could say something. Yeah.
yes,
Hmm.
yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah. Okay. What has been the biggest turning point in your career so far?
Turning point. Well, I guess it depends on how you define career. If we define myself as an actor who is trying to pay the bills, verticals just hands down has been the biggest turning point. Um, Verticals have put me from an actor who occasionally makes my own projects, short films, proof of concepts, etc., and then waits tables to pay the bills, to an actor who, ideally 14 days out of the month, I'm working on set. I can pay my rent and I can use my remaining time to rest, write, and create content. So, Verticals as an event getting cast in that production last June, that would be, we could say, in relationship to like paying the bills, that would be my biggest shift in my career. If we wanted to talk, I would say the the place at which I pursue acting. One of my biggest shifts would be meeting Colin Charles Dale. Colin, one of my best friends now, but back in 2019, 2018, complete strangers. He was a student at USC and he was working on his first feature film and he cast me in it. And it sounds like not a big deal because, just a student's micro budget indie film. But my relationship with Colin led to, during the pandemic, an opportunity where he was living with other students, other friends, other filmmakers, and they had a room open up in the house. And so years later, what started as a professional opportunity became a friendship, became like, oh, I should stop pursuing acting in New York and I should try going to LA. And so that was a big shift as well because they're different cities and
Yeah.
there's different contacts there and there's different focuses. So that I think was also a big thing is just meeting Colin, becoming friends, working professionally. And then let's think, is there another thing that felt like a big shift, which I'm grateful for? Hmm. Well, I am working on a feature right now, which
Mm.
I'm very excited about and I'm happy to share. It's called The Good Dark. The
Mhm.
Good Dark, and it's directed by Hunter Lee Hughes, also written by him, Hunter Lee Hughes. If you got a chance at home, look it up. Coming to probably video on demand, possibly a couple small theaters in the next year. But I've been following that project. I've been following Hunter for about a couple of years now, and I had the fortune of being in his reading for the script a couple of years back. And then all these years later, they finally got funding, and what's it called? I got cast in a supporting role. And so
Yep.
for me, career-wise, I'm very excited to be on set because it's my first feature in LA. There's a couple very talented actors who have worked a lot in television as well, if not other projects. And for me, verticals have been great to pay the bills, to build out my network, to work on my craft. Meeting Colin has been really fantastic and just like opening my mind and my worldview to there's other cities that I can pursue this art, this craft, this commerce. But this particular feature film has been really nice to just be boots on the ground with people who have far more experience than me, and to like really just learn a lot. I'm acting across from the very talented Rex Lee. A lot of people know him from doing the show Entourage back in the 2000s. And, we've got other talented actors who worked on Twin Peaks in the 80s and 90s, and they've been working for decades in television. And so it's nice to watch them. It's nice to listen to their wisdom. So yeah, I've had so many blessings in the last couple of years, and I'm just very grateful, very grateful. So,
Yeah, I mean, even when you mention the student film, I think every single project you do teaches you something different.
oh yeah,
You know,
oh yeah,
every single one. Even like, as you said, just a student film. Like when you say just a student film, that could be the turning point for somebody's major career,
it's true.
that
Yeah,
student film. So
yeah,
I think that's where most of them start, to be honest, because, when you're in school or uni, you start to, college over there. Yeah, that's where people
yeah.
start making student films. So I love that.
For sure. Yeah, they got to
Yeah,
cut their teeth somewhere. And hey, you never
yeah,
know if you're going to meet the next Spielberg, P.T. Anderson, Greta Gerwig. You just do not know who you're going to cross paths with on those set. So,
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Which project has taught you the most about the industry?
Hmm. Which project has taught me the most about the industry? That's a tough question because the industry, there's so many things to the industry. We'll say this. If we're talking specifically about verticals, let's give ourselves permission to kind of zero
Mm.
in on verticals. Um, I did four projects back to back in the winter spring of this year, 2025, in China.
Yep.
And so those four productions, not all of them have come out, hopefully they will. Um, that was another accident. I did not go to China on purpose. I uh, I had lots of friends who were going to China, some
Yep.
of them on purpose. I had a couple of them who just had the fortunate opportunity to audition and get in. But there's this kind of feeling when you're working in the vertical space that you recognize your reputation and your ability to reach and work with different production companies is reflected by the amount of productions you're working on and the cities that you're working on or in. And so there was a time when I was just working in LA. And then I had the opportunity to go to New York and Vancouver. And so I've slowly been expanding where I go. There are some actors recently, they've been posting online, they've shot in Hawaii, which like now that's a new city that people have in mind. That's like, oh, okay, well, maybe I want to work there. There's lots of actors who worked in Istanbul. I'm trying to work on that as well. I've heard of them shooting in Vietnam, London, Italy, possibly. And so all
Here in
these things are.
Australia. Yeah.
Thank you. Yes, yes, exactly. Australia, yeah, which I did have a company reach out recently, and the dates didn't make sense, but I would love to visit.
Mm.
And so that said, China was my first kind of leap into that international space. Up until that moment, I was like, oh yeah, I'm just working on verts in Los Angeles, and we'll just see where this takes me. And then I saw friends getting cast for China projects. They weren't really coming my way. Where's even everyone even finding a way to do these? Who do they know? What's the contact? And I auditioned for a project that was shooting in Los Angeles, and the casting director basically said, You know what? The client doesn't think you're a good fit for this project, but I'm casting another one. Would you be interested?" And I'm like, "Yeah, send me the sides." And I did the audition, and I come to find out that it was for a Chinese production. And so once again, it was not the job listing I applied to. It was, oh my goodness. Can you hear these sirens? They're making my head explode. Okay, good.
I
I'm
can't
sorry.
hear him.
It's filtering out. There is a frequency of sirens, just like hopefully, everyone's okay, but the fire
Mm.
department's having a ball right now.
Oh gosh.
Um, so let me go back. So everybody's plugged into these casting directors, and I'm just not sure how to get exposed, nor am I necessarily concerned. And so this casting director provides me the opportunity without even being prompted. I haven't reached out to them. My reps haven't reached out to them. And next thing you know, in probably less than 14 days, I go from like hoping to get a job in LA to being on a plane on my way to China. And this is
Mhm.
like small town kid from America who our vacations, at best, which, hey, a lot to be grateful for, at
Mm.
best was going to Disney. And that's huge. I know some people have never been. For myself, it was a really wonderful thing, but it was also kind of a smart thing for my parents because typically we wouldn't just go to Disney. We had like a family wedding that happened to be in Florida. And my parents are like, okay, we're going to drive down there for 2 days. We might as well make it worth it. And so, at best, maybe like a cross-country road trip. And if we're lucky, go to Disney. And then suddenly, I'm on a plane to Hong Kong, transfer to Beijing. Holy cow, what is happening? And to bring it back full circle to your question, like, how did it make me learn something about the career, the industry, or alter my view of the industry? When I landed in China and worked on those productions, one, those productions, it's just different. It is different working in another country where they have a different film literacy, different film education. It really makes you grateful for the lengths that the American film economy, Hollywood system, whatever you want to call it, the lengths they have gone to protect actors. And even then,
Yeah.
people, things fall through the cracks. But you learn in other countries where they are aware of dangers or they are not. Because I've had some really good experiences in China. But I've also seen like not so great things. Maybe
I've
we're
had
just
that
working
too.
long hours, working very long hours. Maybe the sleep is difficult, and then safety conditions can always be another conversation. But I'm still going to go back because I've made a lot of friends and I like working
Mhm.
there and I enjoy making verticals. But I learned there that one, I'm very thankful for the lengths at which um, I have been provided safety on set in the US. And again, whether it's union organization, which just isn't a part of you could call it the the Republic of China, the People's Republic of China, also a communist state. They don't do labor unions. It's a different way of maintaining, political and economic control. And so unions are not a thing. Grateful for that. Non-unions out in the US also have a standard that have been set. And so, working on non-union sets, I'm very grateful for the protection we have. But beyond that, it's also like you find out that like verticals are being made a crazy amount in China, the volume.
Mm.
Apparently, it's a 10 to 1 ratio, Kathy. For every
Wow.
one they make in Los Angeles, they're making 10 in China.
Wow.
So if at the end of
That's
the
a
year
lot.
if you see 200 coming out of Los Angeles, that means it's making 2,000. And
That's crazy.
I'm sure the figure is mildly skewed, because what you and I think of as a short drama probably mostly includes English speaking for short dramas. And so out there, they make, Mandarin, Chinese speaking
Yeah.
short dramas. They make, I'm sure there are other in between. I don't know if there's any that have been like Russian forward, but they hire a lot of talent out of Russia and the other surrounding either Caucasian or Slavic countries, in addition to Middle Eastern countries and other parts of Southeast Asia. And so the languages alone, the variety in that, it adds to the volume that's being made.
Mhm.
The literal page count, the platforms, it's crazy. And it really opened my mind to like, oh, for a moment there, everyone's like, is this a fad? Is this just a cash grab? And it kind of feels like people have figured out what I would like to call, and many people have called, independent TV. For decades, we've seen this thing called independent film arise,
Yeah.
but independent TV is just not really possible because it's too expensive. And usually you need a network and you need a way to broadcast it. But now we live in a post-consumer internet age, a post-streaming age, and now a post-mobile streaming age. And the idea
Yeah.
that you can make a bite-sized TV show for 150 to $300,000, if not more, and still make a profit, if not less, honestly, and still make a profit, is like what I would define as independent TV. And so
Yeah.
I'm so excited to see what kind of voices arise out of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely be on the lookout for I'm gonna sound like a dummy. Um Shara TV or Chera TV. It might be Chera
Yes, I
because
know
the
who you're talking
logo
about.
has a cherry.
Yeah.
But Chera TV, they're gonna have such good things coming on the next year.
They're doing a great job.
Yeah, I'm very happy to plug them because they're working so hard. They're working,
They
Kylie is
are.
working so hard, and it's just gonna keep pushing the industry in a direction that um, includes more voices, includes more faces, and just includes more people from all walks of like that will result in better storytelling because that's what we want, whether we want
Absolutely.
to, yeah, whether we want to rest and just check out or we want to feel inspired. That's what we're trying to do here. So yeah,
When you mentioned about the ratio before between LA and China, is the quality still there? You know, with all of, I mean, I don't know. I don't watch a lot of those based ones. I like the English speaking ones, but
for sure.
like, I'd like to know if how fast they're getting them out, if the quality is still there.
I definitely think there's compromises to quality, and I think part of that is by accident and part of it's by design. I think
Mm,
the by accident is, as mentioned before, part of it's the film literacy, the ability to safely and quickly produce high quality projects. Inevitably, you're going to stumble through it if not
mm,
everyone's attending a film school or not everyone's working on like big budget film sets, right?
mm,
But the other side of it too, by design, is think of it as like breakage. Like
mm,
every corporation that has a brick and mortar and is selling retail knows that stuff's going to get stolen, stuff's going to break in transit, stuff's going to get dropped by a sales associate. And so the same thing goes with these verts. I think they know that the majority will say, I don't know, maybe I'm being a little dubious here, but let's say that Gabe's going to pull a number out of his butt. We're going to say it's like 2 out of 10 are actually going to be a success. Big
mm,
hits. They're going to be breaking the ice. Tops. Well, then the other 80% is where the money is going to be spent, the whole 80/20 rule. But they are hoping that one of them, whether it's the leads, whether it's a story, whatever it is, creates social traction to draw eyeballs and suck up subscription or advertising money. So I don't know if they're necessarily concerned about quality as much as quantity. And that doesn't mean they don't hire great directors and actors and producers on some of these sets. But I also know that I have a feeling that, I don't know this for sure, but I have a feeling that depending on the platform, depending on the country, depending on the audience, they have to hit a quota. They just have to. X amount of dollars are designated to get and raise increased subscription viewership. And so there's going to be shows that they're going to really care about, or they're going to experiment and they're going to be excited about trying something new. And then there's going to be other shows where it's like, we're going to have the CEO and they met when they were kids. And one of them cheated on the other one, and years later, they're realizing, oh, they were pretending to, protect them from their parents. And eventually we fall back in love and defeat the bad guys, and there's a kidnapping. And like they just hit the marks of a conventional vertical drama. Not because it's a bad thing, but because it's safe and worst case scenario, people watch the whole thing and then they go watch something else. I mean, I guess worst case scenario is they just delete the app and never come back ever again.
Yeah. Okay, we've watched too many of these ones. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
But I
But
mean, on the
yeah,
on the plus side of that, I've seen like, really big productions, like really, really big productions spend so much money for years and work so long just to not make their money back or to
yes,
not go reach what they wanted to. And that's sad to see as well. So on the flip
right.
side, quantity sometimes could be better than just spending all of your life working on the one
Yes.
for it not to
Hey, I'm
get there.
totally with you. I've worked with
Mm,
going back to the student film part. My heart breaks for the
mm.
students of film institutions that put so much pressure on the thesis
Yeah.
because a lot of these students, they go there, either they're taking out loans or they have a lot of pressure to like prove something to their parents or their family.
Mm,
And project after project, semester after semester, everything leads up to the thesis. And like some
mm,
people, they are so desperate to make the thesis good, they spend tens of thousands of dollars. And then what
yeah.
happens? Most of the time, it gets seen. They're lucky to get a rep out of it.
Mm,
Uh, but that's kind of it. Like if they even break into the festival circuit at best. And like for me as the actor, we get lucky because the finished product means ideally pretty good footage. But for the filmmaker, you're right, all this pressure on the one thing, it's nice to see platforms and production companies willing to spend so much because the cost, the barrier of entry is so low. If you can create something for under $200,000 and know that everybody will be fed, everybody will be able to pay their bills, and also it's going to bring in a subscription base that will justify the cost of production. That sounds like a win to me. That's huge.
absolutely. Yep, I agree. And good on for them. If they can do that,
Yeah.
then that's props to them. Okay.
Mhm.
How do you choose between roles when opportunities overlap?
Well, okay, so okay, real talk. I'm gonna be like way too transparent right now. Oftentimes, it just comes down to the money. It really
Yeah.
does. The reality is that Gabe, as a performer, this may be surprising for some people to hear, but in the way the industry works, there are. I'm going to kind of pull back the curtain, and then you just tell me if I'm saying too much. But I think this is interesting and important. You could imagine that in the same way that Hollywood has like A-list actors, and then there are people who are working consistently and have, recognizability, if that's even a word, recognition, brand recognition, and then you have
Okay.
entry level, right? So I would consider myself somewhere in the working consistently brand recognition. There's a couple people who love the stuff I do, and I am so grateful for them. And then there are actors who are just trying to get their feet wet,
Mm,
and they'll take whatever job they can get at the base job listing. And then there's actors who like they roll up with a social media following and with huge hits on platforms, and like they're the shit. They're like the guy or the
Yeah.
girl. And so for me, where I'm currently at in my vertical journey is I occasionally get offers for jobs, but I still audition, and I have no
Yeah.
qualms with that. There's a lot of people who they refuse to audition. And not also a bad thing either, because if your inbox is full of emails, you're not
Yeah.
exactly gonna like spend your time auditioning when you have to read the script and decide if you want to do it. And you have to interface with so many people. But in my case, I still do my due diligence in order to what is the next job? When am I going to work next? Am I going to choose not to work this month to focus on a non-vertical project or my own producing? Or do I need to see family because the holidays are coming, etc.? And so my first priority is okay, is this going to pay the bills? Make sure Gabe has health insurance and like I can drive my car and live with like not rain landing on my head. You know what I'm saying? And crunchy leaves and like dry desert air in Los Angeles. Um, A is that. So oftentimes it's happened. Like I had one time in the fall of last year, which was great. Honestly, it's a great problem to have. So I cannot complain. But I had three productions vying for my time for the same week. And I had to talk them and I had to communicate, hey, this production's offering this much. I'm really interested in your show, but I have to be real with you. Like I have to work with them because of the difference in the rate. And then they might raise the price or they'll choose not to. And they'll be like, cool, we'll see you on the next one. Good luck. So that's been a situation beyond the rate and the money. Um, I can also kind of pull back the curtain on Gabe's personal, we'll say, values or concerns when I'm stepping on set. If I read a breakdown or a script that has, we'll say, I have my own personal intimacy guidelines. So,
Yeah.
like, Gabe is not interested in what's called simulated sex. Ideally, what's done in vertical dramas, if not film in general, is what's called implied sex. This is kind of the term we use behind the scenes, simulated versus implied.
Yeah.
Simulated is like, we're not doing adult films, but you can see somebody in the act of, right?
Yeah.
Whereas implied is, oh, they're kissing, oh, they're hugging tightly, oh, they're falling onto the couch, cut to black, and so
Yeah.
that's the implication. And so I always keep an eyeball, like, is this implied or simulated? Because I'm just not doing simulated. I have no interest. I don't think it's necessary. Um, and sometimes, for whatever reason, the client wants it. They think it's what the audience wants or whoever. But in my mind, then like, fine, power to you. I'm gonna pass. Beyond that, it's also even if it's implied, there's still content to it. Like I just am not interested in doing BDSM. I
Yeah.
understand sometimes it's done in like a cute, like almost in like a non-sexual way, even. Like I did one show which has not come out yet, and fingers crossed it will. But me and the actress, the premise was like a hotel billionaire owns his corporation, and somebody is kind of sneaking into his hotels and doing kind of like a dominatrix thing in order to kind of like Robin Hood's not the right word because Robin Hood's taking from the rich and giving to the poor, but she's kind of setting like men who are bad actors or bad, you know, players in whatever industry they're in. She's kind of setting them right under the guise of dominatrix. So
Yeah.
the the story has a suggestion of like she's a dominatrix and he's a hotel billionaire and is there going to be something but nothing ever happens on camera. Like nothing ever happens. It just happens to be kind of her character description
Yeah.
in comparison to my character description. And so that's tasteful. But
Mm.
sometimes people are just wearing like crazy outfits or walking around with leash collars and stuff like that. And I'm gonna skip. I'm good.
Yeah.
So there's that. There's also I don't like some of the storylines. Like I don't think it's appropriate to do um sibling adjacent storylines where like they think they're siblings, but actually he was adopted at birth, but they made out. when they didn't know that, but maybe one of them knew it, but the other one was drunk. And it's like, really, guys? Like this is what you think the audience wants? Like, you know what? To your benefit, who doesn't love like a crazy, complex like relationship, but just not that. Not that. Come on. So I'm not really a fan of those. And I'm also not a fan of the XXL revenge stories. There,
Yeah.
that always came off odd to me because I could understand it if they had the same actress
Yeah.
performing the before and the after version of the character. But when they're using two different actors, it creates this judgment on the actor who is playing the lesser version. And I'm
Mm.
like, that is just stupid.
Yeah.
Because if the heart and soul of your story is somebody has gone through a physical transformation that reflects a win and now they're going to beat the bad guy, well, then it should be the same person the whole time. Otherwise, you're casting a light on the actor who is not the after, but the before, the one who hasn't gone through the physical transformation, you're casting them in a bad light, and that's also not in good taste. I really don't think it's in good taste.
I
So
completely
I
agree.
avoid, yeah, I avoid XXL revenge. I avoid the BDSM stuff. And then, like I said, I pay attention uh, to rate. And honestly, if I had to choose between like LA and a new city, I might just do the new city, even at like a drop in the rate a little bit, depending on what's happening, because I want to travel.
Yeah.
Acting has been. I've told myself my entire life that acting will be Gabe's way of traveling. I spent the majority of my 20s just working at restaurants and telling myself someday, 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 I'm gonna keep my head on or keep my nose to the grindstone, is what they say. I'm just gonna keep
Mm.
going. And eventually, this aspirational opportunity through my upcoming creative career will allow me the chance to see the world. And although like film and TV in the conventional sense hasn't taken off, vertical dramas have allowed me the opportunity to travel. And
Yeah.
so I just want to keep running with it. I really do. It's been so
Mm.
wonderful. So
I would love
yeah.
to travel. I never had the travel bug, when I was younger, but I
Hmm.
do now. But now I have children, it makes it a little bit harder.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, I mean, I'm traveling to still in Australia, but a different state at the end of this year for a holiday, child-free holiday.
Fantastic.
Really looking forward to that one. But
Yeah.
I want to come to LA next year for Verticon. I don't
Cool.
know if it'll
Cool.
happen or not, but I'm going to try. Um,
Yeah.
I, but I'm also very nervous because I've never traveled that far alone. So it's kind of
I see.
like when you said you went to China, have you ever traveled by yourself that far before?
No, but
Mm.
admittedly, the by yourself is not as
Mm.
much as the concern as the that far. Like I've never
Yeah.
had my knees squished up against my face for 12 hours on a plane, you know? I've
Hmm.
I've never had two meals on a plane and also pushed myself to basically sleep the entire time. Like for
Yeah.
me, I would call it a mild superpower. Like I can just about sleep anywhere. Like I could close my eyes standing and lean against the wall, or I even fall asleep standing straight up before. Granted, I was
Yeah.
very tired, but like I can sleep, and on a plane I can sleep. But
Mm.
to think like I just like honk shoe for like 2 hours, wake up, check my watch. 2 hours, wake up, check my watch. And you
Yeah.
just do that like 7, 8 times till you arrive, and at some point you eat the meal in between. Like
Mm.
just
Yeah.
not to mention the I've never had that kind of what do they call it? My brain fart. When you land
Mm.
in a different time zone and you
Oh,
are
jet lag.
experiencing jet lag. Wow,
Yeah.
that that was next level.
I'm expecting if I go to LA, that will definitely be there. It'll take a day to just sleep it off. Yeah.
Yeah, I will recommend, I could be wrong about this. When I fly west to China, it's best for me to sleep on the plane and land and just continue with my day. When I came back from China, I tried to do the same thing. It didn't work. So I'll report back and tell you if it works. But my assumption is if you're traveling east, what you want to do is try to stay awake on the entire flight. And when you land, sleep the whole day. And then ideally that'll get you closer to the reset. I don't know if it'll work, but we'll see.
Okay. Yeah,
We'll
because I think
see.
it's like a 22-hour flight from where I am, because
I
I'm like a
believe
day
it.
ahead of you guys already. So it's kind of,
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
I'll be going back. Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll see how that goes. Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay. What's one challenge in the industry you didn't expect when you started?
Um, One challenge. I mean, this is kind of plain and obvious, and a lot of people already know this. But one challenge I didn't expect was just the amount of pages we'd have to get through in a single
Mm.
day,
Yeah.
and how to navigate that either via memorization skill or just literally improvising your way through a scene.
Yeah.
When you're trained as an actor, you're just taught it's always best to know it word perfect. Just know it word perfect. And that doesn't mean like being an idiot and just like memorizing a million times over and over and over again. Like do your script analysis, understand the scene, understand the character. So you're not just reciting words magically, but you are expressing uh, a lived moment and just happening to express them with pre-written text, right? But like the current film I'm on, I've had time to prepare for it, and I'm very grateful for. And we're shooting less pages per day than a vertical. But when you're on a vertical and you're shooting 12 to 18 pages a day, it's just it's kind of insane, Kathy. It's most people would just not understand it. And again, that's part of the reason why it's so cheap is because we're doing so much quickly. Anybody who shoots 100 pages, probably minimum would want 2 weeks. And the studios, as we know, do months. They'll do maybe 2 pages a day sometimes. Set up the lights and like let them have the drama, romance, or action or whatever's happening. And it's just 2 pages. And for those of you at home, when I think 2 pages of a script, I'm thinking no more than 2 minutes of a movie. So you are seeing 2 minutes of a movie, but that could have taken minimum 12 hours to shoot.
Yeah. Yeah.
But for verticals, 2 minutes of a vertical, well, let's think if we did 16 pages in a day and it's a 12-hour day, you're shooting about 1.3 pages-ish. Obviously, my math is awful, but like 1.3 pages per hour. And so you could be shooting like uh, it's just a lot more. It's just the volume is absolutely like crazy, and therefore the point is when I get that script a week before, when I'm showing up on set and we're just covering so much text, I'm not like fully memorized.
Yeah.
I have to learn it during rehearsals, like literally like on the day rehearsals. Like
Yeah.
I've read the script, I have an idea of who the character is, and I'm doing my best to like put myself in that person's shoes and give myself the best performance for the audience. But whether I'm referring it to my friends, family, coworkers, or like my fellow vertical lovers, like part of the job as a vertical actor is being good at shooting from the hip, is what I call it. When people think of like firearms and things of that nature, you can hold a rifle up against your shoulder and look down the sight and practice looking at your target. And like you take a breath, you steady your aim, and then you do all that preparation to hit the bullseye. But if you shoot from the hip, it's because you don't got time. You're
Yeah.
not looking down the sight. It's because you have to make a last minute split second decision and you got to be as accurate as possible. And
Yeah.
so some of my favorite performances I've done have been through something that feels similar to what Gabe would do in this situation. Or maybe I've acted in this character before. Or maybe I get it. I just get it and it locks in and it just works. And then some of my least favorite performances could also be because of the same thing. Maybe I didn't give myself enough preparation. Maybe it's just been hard to put myself in that character's shoes, or literally I'm getting one take and that's it. Like
Yeah.
I could have had a bunch of preparation. but we didn't have the time.
Yeah. And
And
that's even if you're
so,
lucky enough to get the script a week beforehand. You know,
well,
I
okay,
know
see,
some
also
people.
great
Yeah.
point. I've been
Yeah.
in situations, I think the least amount of time I've ever gotten it was 48 hours.
Yeah.
But I know people who they didn't get it till they walked on set. And it's
Yeah.
just like, here we go.
Yeah.
But you know what? This is also a good lesson because I've heard that, this whole idea of like me trying to consolidate and put into a bubble like vertical acting as some kind of like magical thing that's different from the rest of the industry, it's just not entirely true because a lot of TV actors, let's say they're working in a procedural, so it's like a cop drama or a medical drama, and the hero is a doctor, and the doctor has a different patient for that week. Well, the doctor is playing a character that's written by, who knows, we'll say minimum five writers, potentially upwards to 10 or more. And these writers, they didn't like what was written in the episode. So they were rewriting up till the day. And so the actors handed the pages for the day, which were rewrites from the night before.
Yeah.
And you just got to make it work. And
Yeah.
ideally, you know the character well enough because you're in a TV show and you're able to consistently play it over and over and over again that you just got a good handle on it and you'll make it work. But to
Yeah.
bring it back to verticals, that is a part of me that would love to see maybe a little bit of shift in verts that we start getting like procedural style shows where like maybe I play um I'm trying to think. I played a politician twice in the last year, and it would be interesting to me if instead of going from a CEO to a werewolf to a politician to a doctor if I just get the chance to play this politician character three or four times, the same character in a year,
Yeah.
because that
Yeah.
show is not just about the romance with the co-star, but maybe it is about the politics. Maybe it is
And the
about some,
journey.
yeah, another journey. And I really think the platforms would benefit from that because how could you not get a better performance out of an actor that's already put in two or three seasons into a show? Like they
Yeah.
know the character. I mean, the reality is, I'm sure there are some actors who are just kind of like walking on and checking out and just like thanks for the
Mm.
check. But for the most part, at least for me, I will say, I would love the opportunity to have multiple seasons to work on a show, which is such a funny thing to say multiple seasons
Hmm.
because traditionally multiple seasons would be like, yeah, you get 4 years of like shooting for 6 or 8 months out of the year. But for us, multiple seasons would be like 5 weeks of production. That's it. You would
Yeah.
literally shoot four different shows over the course of like 8 days times four, which
I think
is,
that would build up so much excitement for people. I fully agree.
yeah.
Like, yeah, like I've seen so many of these who we're all like, we want a part two, we want another one.
Yes. Yes.
Especially the ones that don't end well. We're like,
Hmm.
wait, there wasn't a like, but then some of them they still end well, but we're like, but we want more. We want more. So if you do that,
Absolutely.
you keep people excited, something to
Yes.
look forward to. I think that would do really well.
Yeah, I'm with you. So we'll see. But I think it's inevitable. We'll just see how soon, I guess, is the question. So,
Yes, yes.
yeah.
Okay. What has been your most rewarding role so far?
Um, Rewarding. Interesting. Um, let's talk from a personal place because we've talked technical things, we've talked craft, we've talked money. Um, from a personal place, I had this show hasn't come out yet, and I'm hoping it does soon. If we're talking verticals again, we'll say one vertical, we'll say one non-vertical. One vertical role that was very rewarding is I did a deaf heiress project. And the one that you may be thinking is not the one I'm talking about. I did a show that came
Mm.
out in the last year called Hear My Love Again with Lottie Guidi. So much fun, super great. But we represented the deaf component with like writing on whiteboards and like, yeah, we'll just text each other and see what they think. And fair, like it works, but not necessarily realistic.
Yeah.
Um, and then I shot one in the last year. that has not come out yet, but again, hopefully will soon. And they wanted me to learn a little bit of sign language. And I
Mhm.
got to tell you, what a rush to be
Mhm.
asked to do a skill that I haven't done before and feel like the nervous energy of on the one hand, like, oh, I don't know how to do that, but also like, oh, I get to learn something new. I get to like play and practice and push myself and work a new muscle. And so I had the
And it's something
chance.
important. Something
Yeah,
important.
well, okay. Yes, you're definitely right about that because like the deaf community had a huge win with the Academy Award winning Coda that came out a couple years ago. And the fact that like the vertical space, I'm not kidding you, they literally hired a an ASL interpreter who recorded themselves on videos and they had like however many videos on Google Drive for us to just like learn. And my
Yeah.
character, I had very few lines in ASL, maybe five or six. One of my co-stars who played the bad guy villain, he was married to the deaf heiress and their relationship was not healthy, but he communicated with her the most. So he had like 15 to 20 lines in ASL. And it was just that was very rewarding being like pushing myself to learn a new skill set. So that was pretty cool. Again, I don't know if skill set's probably a fair word because it was very much for the project, and I have since not remembered those lines. But it was fun learning a little bit of the alphabet and just learning about that community. That was really cool. And then personal another story is I shot a project called um, Rage Bait, which hopefully you'll be seeing pop up in a festival in the next year.
Mhm.
Ro produced and acted in it. We did it last December, and now we're trying to push through the festival circuit. But that was just so rewarding because this was a character, very interesting, dark, seedy character, who me and my friends were developing over the course of 6 to 9 months. And when we finally got the characters on the page, and then we got the money to produce the page, and then when we were finally stepping on set, I just had so many thoughts and feelings about this person that I've like wrote, dreamed about, put on the wardrobe. And then finally I stepped on set and I got to inhabit something that I created, and that was sick. That was
Mm.
just, I could feel the like physicality settle in, whether it was, the chain or the button down that I was wearing, or the like, just kind of like the look and how I was able to see the world. There was just something so great about like digging into acting in such a way. Because again, just every film brings out a different opportunity, a different role, a different approach. I forget what playwright said it. I don't want to misattribute it, but somebody said something to the effect of, you can't learn how to write every play. You can only learn how to write this play.
Yeah.
And it really goes to
Yeah.
every craft or trade. And in the case of acting, it's like there's always going to be a different technique depending on what the character requires me to do in order to honor the character. And so that was really fun, just having the chance to learn how to play that character. I guess that's the funny thing about acting is you're not just learning how to act or playing a specific character, but you're learning how to play that character.
Yeah.
Um, because every character requires a different approach.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool.
Even the even similar characters, they all need a different approach. That's how you make them unique. So,
Yes, yes, it's
yeah.
totally true.
Going back to ASL for a minute, I learned a little bit when I was younger, but if you're not using it
Oh,
all the time, you do forget it. But my daughter,
yeah.
like back in school, we were taught like Italian, as a different language and stuff. In my daughter's school now, their different language is ASL. So they learn it in school.
Whoa.
Yep. I love it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible. That's
Yeah.
honestly that's a huge win because some people would be like, well, when would they use it? And the reality is that like if and this is no discount towards like learning Italian. I myself am Italian, and like I'm excited about reconnecting with my I don't want to say my culture, my family's background, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
And but the idea that like ASL is so proactive. Like
Yeah.
whether it means that like you are literally learning something to provide help to others, you know, as an
Mm.
interpreter, or you're just learning something so you can like draw a bridge to a community that maybe is less seen than other communities. Like that's huge. That's and the fact that the school endorses that, that's
Yeah.
huge.
Yeah. She did a performance at Assembly the other day and she didn't tell me this. She surprised me. She's 10, but she did
Sneaky.
a performance like singing at the
Mhm.
assembly with her classroom. And so I went, and I would have been proud of her either way, but she didn't tell me that it was ASL. So she did the whole performance in sign
Oh,
language. I was so proud.
yeah, you
Yeah,
should be. That's
yeah.
huge. Congrats.
Just
That's so
just
cool.
the representation was really good. So
Absolutely. Oh my
yeah.
goodness.
All right. What's something you wish more people understood about building a career in acting?
Well, I will tell you right now, anybody who wants to pursue acting right now, you need to figure out how to get footage
Mm,
ASAP. I know it sounds like an obvious thing if you want to work in film and TV and have footage. I worked with an agent, I won't say who, for several years when I was younger. They plucked me right out of school. Talk about an ego boost. Before you even graduate, an agent wants to work with you. And after a couple years of working with them, they let me go. And they said, yeah, you know, casting directors just don't know what to do with you. And I'm sitting here and I'm like, don't know what to do with me. How are you guys even pitching me right now? And it wasn't until later that it occurred to me. And again, like I'll take responsibility. I will always be the first to take responsibility if I'm dropping the ball or making mistakes. But something feels wrong about the fact that my rep never sat down. And again, you can call it hand holding or whatever you want. Maybe I really should have just like gotten my act together. But they never sat down with me and said, Gabe, we can't pitch you because we don't have footage of you.
mm,
Like 22-year-old Gabe, fresh out of college, um, just didn't have footage.
yeah.
And that needs to be your priority as a young actor. Nobody cares about the resume, in so much as like when you're coming out of school. I will say, like right now, in terms of building my resume, I'm really looking to currently build like TV credits. Like I want to get
Yes.
some more co-star guest stars, you know, just showing up and like playing coffee. You know, like I know I play these leads on these vertical dramas, but you can't just walk. I mean, I guess you could, but not typically could you just walk into a production office and be like, "Hey, let me audition for your series regular." They want you to play the coffee character first, or like, you
Yeah.
know, the random driver in the front seat, or you know, somebody at the counter selling whatever. Excuse me. And so, if you want access to those like resume building roles, you need to have footage. And you're
Yeah.
not going to get footage by like your school providing it. Your school doesn't do that. Most schools will never do that. So you need to do the short films, like you're saying. You need to do the short films. You need to do every project. I don't care if it's unpaid. You have to do it. You have to do it. You have to do it. Because even if it's one crappy short film that took 9 months to come out, when you get that first 2 minutes of footage, huge. And if you can't do it, then make it yourself. And if you can't make it yourself, then save up money and hire somebody to do it for you. And then after that, like, hey, full disclosure, I am not a doctor, lawyer, whatever. Don't listen to me. Like, no liability here, please. But I went to college and I've learned so much. And I am so grateful. And I would be a liar to say that it did not change me fundamentally as a person, that further encouraged me to pursue my career.
Mm.
But I'll be damned if my kids want to go into acting or something creative and they insist on going to college, I most likely will not let them go.
Yeah.
And it's mostly because nobody tells people this. When you're a young actor starting out, big eyes, big dreams. When you're a young actor starting out, our entire lives in modern, I don't know what you call it, first world countries, Western countries, whatever, we're told that education is a first priority.
Mm,
And in many ways it is. Like it's if it wasn't for the 19th century Enlightenment, like where would we be in terms of empathy and understanding each other and learning about the world and the humanities? But when it comes to the literal practical execution of being involved in the entertainment sector, acting, or filmmaking in general, honestly, it applies to anything too, like songwriting, dance, so many creative pursuits. Um, Going to school does what I call mm, slows down the inevitable.
mm,
And the inevitable is you not being in school. And specifically for actors, not the case for, I would say, a majority of the other creative crafts, but specifically for actors, nobody tells you that all the big name actors, not all of them, but a lot, if not many, if not most, they were all in studio classes, not college,
yeah,
studio acting classes until the moment they started booking so much that they couldn't go to class.
yeah.
And so when I graduated college, after thinking it was the right thing to do to get my education, to learn my craft, I stepped out of school into the real world. And the first thing that people told me is, guess what? You got to go to class.
Hmm.
And I was
Yeah,
like, why did I just spend all that money on going to school then?
yeah.
Why did I just not audition for projects for 4 years? Because a lot of people don't tell you this. A majority of the universities discourage you from doing auditions outside of your class schedule while you're
Oh,
studying. And the
oh.
reason is, the dubious reason is because they want to retain you to, make the money. But
Mm,
whether or not that's true, we'll set the politics and the finances aside for a nonprofit institution. Um, they want you to complete your education. And if
yeah,
you're auditioning for projects that pull you away from classes, you're not going to get your credits done because,
yeah,
if God forbid you book something in TV, you might miss a couple of weeks, which means you won't be able to complete your semester.
yeah.
But the point is that, in my opinion, the financial loss of being in school for acting and the 4 year setback in very important years, 18 to 22, huge,
Hmm.
huge. A lot of 18-year-olds can still work as middle school and high schoolers because either they
Yeah.
look young or they're shorter in stature. Not my case because I'm 6 feet tall. And like they
Yeah.
just, I usually look about my age, maybe a little bit younger. And so you're set back 4 years, you have all this debt, and you still have to take classes?
Hmm.
What? You know?
Yeah.
So again, grateful for my education, loved my professors, but if my children or one day children ever want to pursue the same thing, I'm going to be like,
Go to film
well, then
school.
go do it. Say it
Yeah.
again.
Go to film school. Yeah.
Oh, it's not even go to film school. It's just get to it. You want to go act, act.
Yeah.
Honestly, I wouldn't even say go to school.
Mm.
School's a whole complex thing. Like I'm a big fan of people who want to learn things that require certifications. Even for
Yeah.
me, like I love the idea of like going to school for architecture or engineering or aeronautical science or something. But if at 18 you want to go act, then go move to the city, get rid of the excuses and find a studio and audition and act. That's the only way you're going to make progress. Living in some
Yeah.
like safety hoity-toity bubble of protection is not is not required. It can be helpful, but it is not required. And so you have to
Mm.
weigh the balances. So yeah,
Yeah. Well, thank you
yeah.
because that will hopefully be helpful for a lot of people who want to do
Hopefully,
this.
yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
Okay. Is there anything you want anybody to know about you or your work?
Mm, let's think. Well, the two big projects that I care about right now, Rage Bait, I shared earlier. And The Good Dark, I also shared earlier, directed by Hunter Lee Hughes. Those are kind of the big things in terms of like just like feeling excited about what I'm working on and
Mm,
promoting and stuff. Outside of that, the only thing I probably could say, which sounds like maybe mildly uh, self-important, is like I feel so grateful to be talking with you today. And I just want people to know that like I'm gonna do vertical dramas as long as I can. Like I really enjoy them. I think some
yeah.
people they do them and they still have a negative attitude about it, but it
Mm,
has been nothing but a blessing. It has been nothing but a gift. It has been nothing but an opportunity to learn about myself, learn about the industry, meet friends, make money. And so, like me being here talking with you is purely a stepping stone to where I want to be in my career. And whether that career means building more verticals over the next 5 years, watching the industry shift into bigger budgets and other storylines, perhaps having the opportunity to work more in conventional TV film, who's to say? But like right now, I am here to stay on the verts. They're so much fun, and I'm so happy with them. So
I've seen so many times, like a lot of people comment on your guys' stuff going, oh, I can't wait to see you in something bigger. When are you going to leave verticals, go to something bigger? And from my
mm-hmm.
point of view, I don't like I want people to take other opportunities. Of course, that's great, major films and things like that. But at the same
Yeah,
time, I want to see you guys grow and the verticals grow with you.
yeah.
They get bigger and you guys follow them along because they can get there. I believe in them.
Oh
And
yeah.
yeah,
Oh yeah. Yeah. I'm so
yeah,
and yeah, there's so much there's just so much to it. And like we said, the genre changes. I would love to do more comedic verts. Like we need
mm,
some like self-aware office style audience address ones. We need like you said, more action sci-fi of them.
yeah,
Um, and there's so much room for growth, and I can't wait to see what happens next. It's gonna be good.
yeah.
It's gonna be
Me
cool.
too. I have one more question. What does a good day on set look like for you?
Ooh, okay. Good day on set. So let's think. If Gabe wakes up, he has enough time to shower and eat at home, because sometimes I'm just like running like a crazy man. Shower and eat at home. Listen to what's it called? Maybe Smartless podcast on my way to set or run my lines like a psycho, just like steering wheel in one hand and looking at my pages in the other. And then when I get to set, a lot of people might be surprised to find out I don't need a cup of coffee. Don't give it to me. Don't ask me. I do not want it. Keep your coffee. I do not drink coffee. I do not drink
Yeah.
caffeine. I can. I'm not against it, but I just get a little sick from it. And
Yeah.
like a glass of water wakes me up in the morning. And then let's think. A good day once I get to set is probably no intimacy for
Mhm.
that day. I did
Yeah.
one day, we had 6 hours of intimacy. It
Oh
just
gosh.
drains on you. Yeah, it just drains on you.
Yeah.
It's not a good thing or a bad thing. It takes up a lot of energy.
Yeah.
What's really fun is doing stunts.
Hmm.
What's really fun is doing maybe a two-person scene. I love the small intimate scenes where I'm like, I'm here. We are scene partners. We are working together to create a moment. Um, a good day is not spending the entire day doing a banquet scene where it just goes
Hmm.
on and a wedding
Oh, I've
scene
heard
and
that.
overwhelmed.
I've heard that
Oh
many
my
times.
goodness. A good day is lunch catered. Because a lot of
Hmm.
productions, they do their best to save money, God bless them. And hey, if all you can do is a cheeseburger and fries or some pizza, I will take it. But
Hmm.
sometimes you're on set, ooh, they got the like Hawaiian pork with the pineapple and like the rice and the veggies and like a little salad and coconut water. Coconut water on set is always a good day.
I've made a
Um,
post about this. I've contacted a few actors asking what they wanted on set for Crafty. So yeah.
Oh, so good, so good.
Mm.
And then apart from that, a good day, ideally, you're wrapping under the 12 hour, maybe as early as 10. What a concept, 10 hours. And I've remembered my disposable camera so I can take good old-fashioned photos.
Yeah.
I just kind of give it the little scrolly scroll and try to get someone to take a picture either posing and smiling, or maybe like just a little bit of BTS while we're working and they catch something. Um, yeah, just all those just little details. I never thought that my full-time job would require me to wear a suit. I didn't want to
Hmm.
work in an office. I don't want to do 9 to 5s.
Yeah.
And here I am every day putting
Yeah.
on a suit. And you know what? I like it. I like it a
Mm.
lot.
Yeah. I
So,
think it's different because you're not in that aspect. Like you don't have to live as that person in that suit on a daily basis with the time
yes.
crunches and the late nights and yeah.
Oh
Well, you
my
do that anyway,
goodness.
but it's different.
No, it's very different. I did the closest I got to a consistent office job is I worked as a project manager for a friend of mine for a couple of years in the like what do you call it? The augmented reality space. You know, anything from like AR goggle interactive media to just like silly Snapchat filters. We call them lenses on the development side.
Yeah.
And like I wouldn't say grind's quite the right word because I my boss was one of my best friends and
Mm.
we had so much fun making the stuff we
Yeah.
did. But you're right, like the deadlines, the client expectations, it's not great. And they're
Yeah.
it's just a different world, making sure that like if you don't clock in between 8 and 5, then it's not just a matter of getting the work done, but it's kind of the like self-conscious optics that like your client and your boss is like, why aren't you working right now? And
Yeah.
that kind of sucks, especially when it's not something you're passionate about. But acting, you put my
Yes.
ass on set for 16 hours, I will do it and I will enjoy it. I will enjoy
Yeah.
it.
I mean, I've
Yeah.
gone through my entire life still not knowing what I want to do. You know, I
Hmm.
don't have something where I'm like, I really want to do that. But I
Yeah.
am currently studying business as well. Um,
Okay.
so that way, I mean, this isn't for me going, I want to go into a business and work like that. I want to build up like these interviews, my page and thing. I love photo editing.
Yeah.
I've been loving these interviews for the few months I've been doing them. So I want
Yeah.
to do this business course in ways to expand these things. So
Yes.
yeah.
Yes. Yes, Kathy. Let's go. All right. Very
Yeah.
cool.
That's where I'm going with my life at the moment. We'll see where it
All
goes.
right. Absolutely. Keep pushing, you know.
Thank you.
Excited to see what comes next.
Thank you. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to have this
For
interview with me
sure.
today. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. It's been so much fun.
Anytime. Yes, and I will talk to you again very soon.
Cheers. That sounds fantastic.
Thanks. Bye.
All right. Bye.